You know what I love? Long exposures. In the middle of the day. With no filters. Think it's impossible? Think again. What's up, photo homies, foamies, and welcome to Professional Photography Tips. My name is Josh Cripps, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Joshua Cripps Photography. Now, what happens when you want to shoot some nice long exposures, but either the light is too bright or you don't have any filters? Well, here's a super simple camera hack that will let you double, triple, or even 10-tuple your shutter speed without blowing out your image. First, get your camera on a tripod, set the shooting mode to continuous high, and make sure you're using a remote. Then in the camera menu, select multiple exposure mode. For you Nikon shooters, use single photo auto gain on. For the Canon guys, make sure it's set to average. Then crank the number of shots up as high as you can, mosh down on your remote, and let the camera take care of the rest. During any long exposure, you can think of the camera as creating an average of everything that's going on in the scene during the shot. This is why oceans, for example, look like mist during long exposures, because the waves are crashing and moving everywhere, and the camera is averaging all of that out. Well, when you use the auto gain or average function in the multiple exposure mode, your camera is averaging together all the shots you take. Basically, it's like creating a long exposure from a bunch of short ones. In other words, a single 20-second exposure looks exactly the same as 10 back-to-back-to-back 2-second exposures smashed together in the camera. Which means that if the longest shutter speed you can get is 1/6 of a second, but you take 6 photos in multiple exposure mode, well then you've actually got yourself a 1-second equivalent shot. Or say you're shooting something like a Nikon D810 that can take up to 10 shots in multiple exposure mode. If you can get your shutter speed to 3 seconds, but any brighter will blow the photo out, well then in multiple exposure mode you can actually create a 30-second equivalent photo. And this technique is infinitely expandable. So if you can get a 30-second shot normally, well then in multiple exposure mode, you have a minutes-long photo. How friggin' cool is that? And a word to the wise if you're shooting something like clouds that need really long exposures. Turn off the long exposure noise reduction in the camera, otherwise you'll end up with weird gaps in the final image. And that's all there is to it. A simple camera hack to open up some creative possibilities. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends and subscribe to this channel. You can also join my newsletter for heaps more great photography tips just like this. Now go check out this other helpful video to see how to create really long exposures using neutral density filters. Until next time, have fun and happy shooting. Whoa! Well, here's a super simple... Which means that if your longest shutter speed is 1/6 of a second, but you take 6 photos and create really long exposures using...